The sun peeked through the smoggy skies of New Haven City, casting soft golden rays on the cracked sidewalks and rusted street signs of the working-class neighborhood of Camden Flats. The city always felt like it was holding its breath, a place where people trudged to survive more than to thrive. In apartment 3B of the weathered red brick complex on Jasper Street, the air was thick with anticipation and the scent of burnt toast. Ethan Rivers, a 34-year-old single dad, stood in front of a small mirror, adjusting the collar of his only suit. It was an outdated navy blue number with barely their pinstripes, the shoulders slightly too broad and the cuffs a bit too short. But to him, it was a symbol of hope. Lila, his bright-eyed 7-year-old daughter with untamed curls and a mischievous smile, sat cross-legged on their lumpy sofa, her lunchbox in her lap and a proud grin on her face. "You look like someone on TV, Daddy," she said, swinging her legs. "Like a president or a news guy." Ethan chuckled, his reflection smiling back at him through the streaked glass. "Well, let's hope the people at Westcore Logistics think I look like their next assistant operations manager." This interview meant everything. After working back-breaking night shifts at the loading docks and picking up odd handyman jobs for years, Ethan had finally landed a shot at a salaried position. One with benefits. Stability. A way to get Lila into a better school, maybe even move out of the building where the heater rattled like a dying robot and the walls smelled like old cigarettes. He checked his watch. 8:12 a.m. "Time to fly," he said, grabbing his tattered leather briefcase and pressing a quick kiss to Lila's forehead. "You be good for Mrs. Jackson, okay?" "I always am," she chirped. All right," he laughed, heading for the door. "Love you. Love you more." He made it down the 3 flights of stairs in record time and out onto the street. The city was alive with its usual chaos, buses roaring by, honking cars, and the scent of bagels from the corner cart. Ethan hailed a cab, knowing the subway would be too slow today. He couldn't risk being late. 27th and Hanover, he told the driver. Westcore Building. As they weaved through traffic, Ethan rehearsed his pitch, the one he'd been practicing in front of Lila every night for a week. He knew the company's logistics software, understood supply chain bottlenecks, and even had ideas on optimizing warehouse traffic flow. His resume might have been light on degrees, but he had years of real-world hustle. At 8:35, the cab turned onto Miller Street, just blocks away from the sleek corporate tower where the interview would take place. He was just in time. The cab slowed at a red light. That's when he saw her. On the corner of the sidewalk, next to a towering metal trash bin, sat a little girl, no more than 8 or 9, dressed in a private school uniform. Her white knee socks were dusty, one of her patent leather shoes missing. Her long hair was pulled into a messy ponytail, and she hugged her knees, her face hidden. She was crying. Not the loud, tantrum kind of cry. The quiet, tremble-your-whole-body kind. Ethan looked at the building ahead. He was so close. A few more minutes and he'd be sitting in the HR office, resume in hand, smiling through nerves. Then he looked back at the girl. She was completely alone. "Hey," he called to the cabbie, "stop. Right here." The driver glanced back. "You sure? We're almost there." "Yeah. This won't take long." Ethan climbed out and jogged over. "Hey," he said gently, crouching down. "You okay?" The girl flinched, startled. "I'm fine," she whispered, not looking up. "You're barefoot. Are you lost?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "Where are your parents?" She didn't answer. Instead, her chin quivered as a fresh wave of tears spilled over. Ethan sighed. He glanced at the tower in the distance. It stood tall and glassy, the kind of building that didn't just reflect the sky, it deflected it. "I know I'm a stranger," he said carefully, "but I'm a dad. I have a daughter about your age." And I can't just walk away if something's wrong. The girl wiped her eyes. I told the driver I wanted to walk, and then I didn't know where I was. And I didn't bring my phone. He drove off. I thought I could find the park, but I don't know how to go back now. Okay, Ethan said softly. Okay. What's your name? Alina. That's a beautiful name. I'm Ethan. He offered his hand. She hesitated, then took it with trembling fingers. I was going to the museum. But now I just want to go home. Where's home? She looked around like the buildings themselves might answer. Wellington Hills. Ethan blinked. That's far. I know. Can you take me there? He glanced once more toward the tower. And then he nodded. He helped her into the cab, giving the driver the address she provided. The man raised an eyebrow. You know how far that is? Yeah. Just go. The ride was long and silent. Alina leaned against the window, her eyes glassy, her face pale. She didn't talk much. Ethan didn't push. By the time the cab pulled into the gates of Wellington Hills, it was 9:37 a.m. He was already 40 minutes late. The steel gates opened automatically, revealing a road lined with cherry blossom trees, winding toward what looked like a mansion from a movie set. Ethan blinked. You live here? Alina nodded sheepishly. The cab rolled to a stop in front of a cream-colored estate with tall columns, wide balconies, and statues flanking the steps. Everything gleamed, even the driveway looked polished. Before Ethan could open the door, a man in a black suit stepped outside. Then another. And then a woman in a sharp navy skirt suit burst through the front door. She had shoulder-length auburn hair and a presence that could freeze time. She didn't run, exactly, but her heels clicked with fierce urgency. Alina, the woman called. Mom. Alina scrambled out and threw herself into her mother's arms. I was so scared, the woman whispered, kneeling down and holding her daughter close. Don't ever do that again. I'm sorry, Alina murmured. I got mad at Martin and told him to stop. I thought I could walk. But then I didn't know where I was. And he helped me. She pointed toward Ethan, who had awkwardly climbed out of the cab and now stood stiffly by the car, holding his briefcase like a shield. The woman's eyes met his. You found her? She asked. Yes, ma'am. She was near 33rd, crying. I couldn't leave her there. You missed a job interview for this? He shrugged. Some things matter more. She stood slowly and extended a hand. I'm Catherine Belgrave. Alina's mother. Ethan Rivers. Catherine glanced toward the house, then back to him. Please. Come in. You deserve more than a thank you. I really should, he started. I insist, she said firmly. He followed her inside the estate, walking into a world so far removed from his own that it felt surreal. The floors were marble, the ceilings vaulted, and the chandelier above the entry sparkled like a constellation. Every room looked like a magazine spread. She led him to a sitting room and gestured for him to sit. Would you like coffee? Tea? Water's fine. A butler disappeared and returned moments later with sparkling water in a crystal glass. Catherine sat across from him. So, what was the interview for? Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. Westcore Logistics. Assistant Operations Manager. She blinked. Really? Yeah. I've been working warehouses and delivery jobs for years. It was a long shot, but my husband was CEO of Westcore before he passed. I still sit on the board. Ethan stared. You. What? She smiled. You didn't know? I didn't even know people like you were real. She laughed softly. And people like you rarely get recognized. But they should. Silence hung for a beat. I want to offer you a job, Mr. Rivers. Not because you helped my daughter, though I'll be forever grateful for that. But because someone who would sacrifice something important to do the right thing? That's someone I want in my company. And frankly, in my life. Ethan blinked, unsure if he was still in the cab dreaming. Are you serious? As a heart attack. He leaned forward, stunned. You don't even know my qualifications. I know enough, she replied. You dropped everything to make sure a crying little girl made it home. That tells me what kind of man you are. From the hallway, Alina peeked in and gave Ethan a little wave. He smiled back at her. In that moment, everything changed. He'd missed an interview and walked into a life he never could have imagined. And it all started with a choice: to stop. To care. To help a crying little girl on a street corner.